How do we start this thing again? So I think it goes something like this. Welcome to the 46th episode of Sawdust Nation podcast with your host, AJ from Crafton and NJ, who is me. I don't know why I tell you my name. Nick over at NPG Creations and Josh from North Country Woodworking. This almost seems like it's our first episode because I forgot what I was supposed to do. So with that, gentlemen, I think we want to hear from somebody or a few people very, very special.
We want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Totalboat for their support, as well as Orca Abrasives. You guys are awesome. And last, we want to thank Jtechphotonics for making this episode possible. That's it for sponsors. What do you guys got going on in your shops? Who's going first?
We'll do rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Okay.
No, you
rock,
go first.
paper, scissors, shoot.
Shoot. I'm a rock.
Well, it's a tie. We'll do it one more time, and okay, rock, paper,
scissors, shoot.
AJ loses.
All right, well, that's it. Wow, this is a exciting episode. You just witnessed the first rock, paper, scissors, shoot over the podcast. So, Josh, what is going on in your shop? Because the world needs to know.
Oh, way to go! Way to toss that.
You're welcome.
Nice transition.
You're welcome. Yeah, I like it.
Smooth.
So,
it was like
shop life. The things we do in our shop. Long story short, just been knocking out a whole bunch of projects here and there. Trying to get ahead of the curve, and the curve keeps winning. I have been dropping off projects every other day or so, meeting those deadlines as much as possible because we kind of have to. But I did run into a little pickle.
What kind of pickle?
The sour kind.
Keith wants to know what kind of pickle.
So I had a project that I forgot about, and my wife brought up, and she's like, "Hey, it's like due in like a day." So I did a project in one day. That was fun, let me tell you. But I figured out some new stuff while doing it, and that's always a plus because it just sped up my process by like a couple of days. With that, I've done some carving. I'm doing a carved flag right now. I did another bow holder for a client. I've been pricing out a whole bunch of stuff, so I'm really going to be busy. Have some last minute projects coming down the line. I did finish up the whole whiskey caddy. That I think it turned out great personally. It was a gift for someone in the military working dog community. And the guy that ordered it, me and him were both kind of hesitant to give it to him because we both really liked it. So I wouldn't be surprised if I end up making one for at least myself and maybe him. From two different individuals, a going away gift for the same colonel. So he'll be receiving multiple products from my workshop for his going away, which I kind of find funny in a lot of ways. But they're trying to outdo each other. So like as they hear about the other project, I get a call from the other client and they're like, "Oh, what about if we did this?" It's a very curious relationship that's going on with that. I have some projects coming up that I'll be doing like a gun mount and sword mount. Nice. Something I haven't done in the past. It'll be new for me. It's going to be very simple. How can I put this? They want it so that it's going to cost them an arm and a leg. I tried to talk them into walnut, and immediately they came back with, "I can't afford walnut at this time." Apparently getting a musket and a sword with a bayonet is pretty expensive, and they had to jump through some hoops to acquire those items.
Will you, because I know when I had to make a flag that had a gun mount on it, of course I didn't have the person's gun. I had something similar. So are you going off of dimensions that's already on another one that they have made, or will you? I'm trying to.
You got to have the gun, man.
Yeah. They're gonna hand over the gun, and I'm going to work off the actual device itself. It's like I said, it's gonna be very simplistic. It's basically going to be a board with some pegs. That's exactly how they wanted. They showed me an example of something that was done in the past, and it was something similar. It was done on maple though. So
any kind of like frame around it? Because I know I just saw one pop up on my feed the other day. I think Mike over at Veteranwoodco. Yep.
No frame. Like I said, it's very simplistic. It's more about showcasing the actual piece than it is about the wood around it. And because they spent so much on the actual the gun, the bayonet, and the sword, it's one of the reasons I don't want to say go a little cheaper on the display, but they're trying to watch their pennies because of it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But I mean, I'm working with them trying to get that done. So with the addition of the 2 going away gifts that I'm doing, also doing something for the military working dog, a display for them. It's going to be their symbol with a collar that hangs from the bottle, and the plaque goes in the middle of the collar. So it kind of like hugs it.
Nice.
And then they want like an ammo box done where they're going to put a bottle of, I don't know if they said, I can't remember if they said tequila or whiskey. I know completely different things, but they showed a picture of one and then they wanted like the other. So I'll be making that. 2 shots will be housed in there as well. So that's going to be completely unique for me. That's something I haven't made. The laser will be coming in handy because there's quite a few things being lasered on that. It seems like I got a whole bunch of very unique projects coming up, and it's not really a bunch of the same.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a 2-foot mallet,
but different.
But yeah,
same.
But still same.
but different.
But different.
But yeah, guys, it's the same stuff going on in the shop. It's just one of those things where you price things out, and you're like, oh, I got this project, and then you remember about the 30 other projects you priced out, got paid for that you still got to do.
You forget about the ones that are due tomorrow because you're like, oh wow, new order just came through, and then you're like, oh man, I have this one, and it just keeps getting backlogged. Like you said, the curve just keeps curving. I mean, at some point you go off that curve and drive right off the mountain.
He's not wrong.
Big explosion, Cameron style. And I'll bring this up later if you guys remind me. I have a new way I think I'm going to run the shop as far as taking orders. But I don't want to get into that now because, man, the world really needs to know. I need to know. AJ needs to know. Nick, what are you doing with that saw stop?
Well, I built I completed, well, it's not complete, but it's functional. My outfeed table. It is about, I made it intentionally a little bit shorter than the saw stop, the actual table saw on the saw stop, just because I didn't want to have to worry about grooves for just a wee bit a smidge less than the height of the saw stop, because I didn't want to have to worry about the grooves for the we call it the miter slot. Yeah. So it works perfectly. It's obviously not finished. I have one large drawer done. I ran out of plywood, so I have to go get some more of the Baltic birch. It's got the millimeter.
Rich man.
Well, you know what though? You go to Home Depot or Lowe's and you're going to pay $50 anyway for a sheet of plywood. Why not go buy Baltic birch for $56 for a 4x8 feet, 3/4 inch?
It's not.
Down here in San Antone at the
it's like 70 something up here.
Yeah, Dakota Hardwoods has it down here, and that's where I get mine from. It's really nice. It's just a little bit of a hike to get there from my house. If I leave directly from work after work, then I'm able to get there before they close, and I call ahead and pick up whatever. But so the melamine top is great. I did leave space for a T-track on the table in case I want to clamp something down onto it while I'm working on it. But that's just worst case scenario. And I also made it so that the melamine can be removed. So it's just pin nailed in. It's not glued or anything. So if I have to, I can, pick it up and flip it over if the top gets all jacked up. And then once it's flipped over, I got a brand new surface, and then so on and so forth. If I get more melamine, then I can go ahead and replace the whole thing once both sides get worn out. But I went and picked up a bunch of lumber off a guy leaving the area. This was yesterday. He sold me a ton of lumber for 100 bones. And it was a great deal, man. A bunch of white, red oak, bunch of cherry wood, walnut. So my rack floweth over full of lumber. And then, so I've got orders coming out the wazoo at the moment. Things sort of just like picked up. I've got people in the neighborhood actually ordering stuff too. So they stop by. I'll design it right in front of them. They tell me what they like, and boom, I'll put them in the queue. But I finished a security forces badge last night out of cedar, and I made it stand upright. If you check my Instagram, it's on there. I haven't put the poly on it yet. I'm going to put the Totalboat Halcyon. I got to do that tonight.
Yeah.
But I used a domino to have it stand up, and so far so good. And I have another project coming up real fast. I just got the challenge coins in for it. Columbus, Ohio, DHS has ordered something from me. That's Department of Homeland Security. They ordered something from me, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that knocked out and get that off to them. It's gonna be a pretty exciting project because I actually know one of the agents, so it's got to put my best foot forward here, guys, because I love working for other government agencies, doing this stuff. And then
you get your foot in the door with that, man. You'd be doing
what?
really well.
Well, it's just another. I mean, it's not just another customer, but it's exciting to do some work for and try and impress another agency besides the Department of Defense that we, most of the stuff that we do. So I'm excited for it. Check it out. So I ordered some packaging material on Amazon 3 weeks ago, and it just showed up.
Wow.
Prime shipping my rear. Holy cow. I think...
Weren't you just bragging about how things show up the next day?
Yeah,
right?
It was... So I guess it wasn't sourced out of Texas. It was sourced somewhere else, and they shipped it to Florida for some reason. I don't know. They don't even sound the same. Like, I'm going to send it to San Antonio.
Close,
oh, yeah, is that down in South Florida? I mean, come on, man. What are you guys doing, man? What are you guys doing?
Lost down there?
I don't know. What are you guys doing though at Amazon? Like, you're not the post office. Come on, you're better than that. You're better than that. Anyway, other than that, my funding came in for my new laser. I'm still working on getting that ordered. It should be a month or two before that actually comes in. Once I do finally pay this man his money, and then
So, Nick, you're getting a new laser, huh?
I am getting a new laser. I love my Jtechphotonics 7.0 laser, but I can't tie up my CNC all the time. I know Josh had the same issue, and now he's a 2 laser fool, right? He's got the Glowforge, and he's got the
Is it a laser stop.
Laser stop. What is it?
Yeah, laser stop. You have a saw stop, so figured you get a laser stop.
So Sawstop needs to start making lasers. No, I'm going to keep my Jtech.
It goes towards your hand. It stops. I'm
keeping my Jtech because worst case, I have to run 2 lasers at the same time. It'll be there. It's done a phenomenal job. I love them to death. It's just CO2 80-watt laser versus a 7-watt diode laser. You can't compare. I'll be able to cut through like 1/2-inch plywood with this if I really wanted to. Yeah, Josh, go ahead and shake your head no. But
you will, but it might take a little bit more than one pass.
Oh yeah, more than one pass.
Nick's world. Nick's gonna.
I'm gonna dial it up.
And there was a fire at Nick's house, and now we're looking for a third.
That's right. So I already have.
The state of Texas is going to go black when he hits start.
So. Check it out. When I do actually get it, I'm getting a storage unit because I don't have enough space in my garage for all the non-essential items for a shop.
Just hit end on this, please.
I
don't want to hear him complaining about his huge shop running out of space.
Yeah. No, I mean when you think about it, golf clubs and my generator and things like that you don't particularly need to keep in your garage all the time. Anyway. But that's all that's really going on in my shop. I don't have
any of that, and I don't have enough space.
I have golf clubs sitting right at the entrance of mine, right by my CNC. When I go golfing, it literally looks like it just sawdust everywhere. I open it up, and it's just like...
At least you can follow a trail.
So Josh sent me a list of prices for plywood in New Jersey.
Yes.
And it's like $60 for...
Yep.
A 4x8 sheet of 1/2-inch yellow pine. What?
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's redonkulous, man.
Yeah. That's why my outfeed table's been waiting for a little while because, well, my outfeed table is going to cost more than the saw.
So you should just go to Delaware where it's tax free, man. At least
And
that'll
tie it to the top of my car and drive that mount.
Sure.
I mean, good plan. But
I've seen it happen. I've seen it. But other than that, that's all I got going on in my shop.
It would rain all the way back.
Just in your lane.
Yep.
So yeah, that's about it for me. What about was it? Who's got to go still? AJ, you got to go still?
Yep.
All right, we got some questions, don't we?
Gotta go
No,
right
I'm
now.
playing.
I can't tell. I mean, like looking at the camera, I can't tell if it's my camera, AJ's camera, or wait, he has facial hair. So.
By the way, guys,
Yes.
Josh and AJ are both bald as cue balls right now.
Yeah, but see, I shaved mine off. I didn't hit the balding stage yet, and the receding hairline.
No. We can see it going back on the sides.
No. That's
It's
called
a
a
widow's
widow's peak, my
It's a
friend.
widow's peak.
Yeah. Well, the widow peak gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
What is it? It looks like a Stone Cold Steve Austin convention over here. AJ
But
with
I'm
the
prettier.
what's that?
I said, but I'm prettier. We all know this.
All right, whatever helps you sleep at night.
Anywho, what are you doing in the shop, man?
Yeah, what's going on?
You know, the same old. More and more flags, and then I got my first order of a weird flag for a Marine Corps. I want to say it was a base that the gentleman had messaged me from. It's out in Washington. He was telling me, and he wanted an 1801 flag. And the thing that's special about this flag is it has 15 stars and 15 stripes. And I didn't believe it at first, and I looked it up, and it's actually true. I messaged you guys about it because I had no idea. It's he wants the insignia engraved into it, and then also a name. It's going to be for a Marine that's going to be as a send off gift, and he needs it by June. And of course, I said, yeah, no problem. I can definitely do this for you. So, Nick, your flag is now another one behind. So I apologize.
It's all good. I've been getting cut saw orders for cut saw flags, so I'll just do it myself. It's cool.
But the thing is, I don't call them cut saw flags. So you're doing something completely different. It's okay.
No, it's all good. I got you.
You sure you don't want to start? I mean, you can do them on the CNC.
You can do cut saw flags on the CNC?
Yeah, you just don't use a cut saw. You just use a bull nose bit.
Nah, I'm good right now, man. I'm swamped as it is. I don't need to pick up a new genre. But I do want to.
If anybody wants, a traditional wavy flag down in Texas, you know where to message me. Slide into those DMs.
That's right. Free shipping and 50% off with promo code NPG Creations.
And the best part
Visit
is
Crafted
you get
NJ.
high quality pine from
That's right.
Jersey.
New Jersey
More
pine.
expensive than anywhere across the country.
You're not wrong, man. Jesus.
So anyway, yeah, I got flags going on. I just carved out one on Sunday, and I just tried something different because as I was driving, not paying attention to the road, I was watching a gigantic flag wave, and I was watching it and how it was waving, and it started from like the bottom left-hand corner, like on the pole, and it waved towards the top right corner. So I usually go from the top left and then go down and across. I know it's a little bit hard over visual and audio to describe this, but it was odd for me because, of course, I was carving it completely different than I normally do because my brain can't make up its mind on how I want to actually carve. And starting from a different corner was completely different for me. And I'm going to say different 9,000 times apparently. But this was a different flag, different. So, but no, it came out really well. I got it final sanded the other day. And the problem with it, with any project that I do, is when I start it, usually I never finish it. And then I finish it like months and months later, but that's besides the point. But while you're carving, and I don't know if you guys run into this, or I'm sorry, while you're starting a project, you have like these highs and lows where you're starting it, you're going, wow, this is really going well. And then you look at it and you go, I don't like it because it's not, done. I get that way when I carve my flags. I hate them. I hate every single flag that I carve out until it's final sanded because it just looks like it looks like junk. You have all the marks on it from the cut saw disc. You have the sanding marks on it. It's not refined, and it almost puts me down. I'm like, man, I really didn't like this carve. As soon as I sand it, I'm like, wow, that actually looks pretty nice. So it's like highs and lows I go through until that flag is complete. But yeah, so flags. I got that bench that I want to talk about on the podcast because Josh yelled at me. I wanted to talk, behind the scenes about it, but we'll talk about it on the podcast. And
very good, Grasshopper.
I tried my hand at doing multiple catch-all trays at once and learned the hard way that instead of rushing to throw a piece on the CNC, I need to take my time and make sure that it's 100% square. Because as I was carving, I'm like, wow, all these trays are kind of like dipping down on an angle, but the wood is straight. And I'm going like, why is this? Well, I had the piece not at 90. I actually had it like maybe a half an inch dip down on an angle. So yeah,
it was a
good one.
It's a feature.
There you go.
It's a feature.
Unique catch-all tray.
The other thing is I got to actually send you guys a picture of it. And I'm not sure, but I had such a large step over on my bowl bit that it left actually these kind of nice grooves in it. And I'm almost thinking of keeping it as a textured feature on the inside. Maybe try selling it. I don't know. I'll have to send you a picture and see what you think.
You just, price it up there like $80 for a small catch-all tray, and someone will buy it.
And it's out of walnut too.
Ooh.
Golden. It's like gold.
Have you used those velocity screws yet, by the way?
I have to hold up my drill, as I don't know if you saw in my stories where it was actually upside down.
I didn't see it. I haven't been on social media.
I see who follows me. I see who the real follows.
Well, I don't want to hear it because I did a live and everyone that follows the podcast joined except for you guys. Just want to say, and that's when I tested my velocity screws.
I was there in spirit.
I gotta say though,
I felt it.
I used every last one of them except the cement bits on this outfeed table. So I want to thank Velocity Screws by Phillips. By the way, it's part of Phillips brand. For the screws, because this thing went together so easy, and with the bits that they provide to drive those screws, holy cow, couldn't believe it.
On top of that, you don't need a pre-drill anything, especially like pine. Usually you want a pre-drill so it doesn't crack. I went to the edge of a 2x4 and I drove it in, and it went in clean, and there was no cracking, nothing. I was truly impressed. Like, I don't think I've ever drove a screw into a 2x4 toward the end and not cracked it without pre-drilling.
And let's not get it twisted, everybody. We're not sponsored by them at all. This is all of us. Like we got to try out their products, and they are great. So give them a look.
Oh man, I had something I was going to say to you guys about these screws. Actually, I wanted to ask you, Nick, did you have any? Because, I mean, of course, we're an honest podcast. We want to be honest with everybody. And if something happened, we want to know. Any issues with the screws, or did they all go in, no breaks, nothing happened?
I only had one splitting issue, and there was already a crack in the wood. So,
it wasn't even the screw.
It wasn't the screw. It was me.
It was the final screw, though.
It was the screw that broke the camel's back.
The whole outfeed table just falls apart.
The whole thing just collapsed on me, and the humanity.
Hey, but those screws still held in.
Everything on this table is held together with velocity screws. Never had any issues except the drawer slides. I used small screws for the drawer slides, but that came with the drawer slides. But what I'm talking about, like building the drawer boxes with pocket holes, all that stuff, everything's a velocity screw. So
nice, really nice. I was going to put up these new wood racks that I just got, but the problem was they were a little different than the ones I originally had. So I used 2-inch screws on the other ones, and these actually came with like a heavy screw, like a lot bigger.
Like a lag bolt almost?
Almost like a lag bolt, but a little smaller than that. So I said, well, they come with it. I said, let me just use it because they did supply it. The other ones I didn't get any with. But my thought process was I'm going to use the velocity screws on those. And I said, let me just actually use. Why are you waving goodbye to Nick? Mm-hmm. Goodbye, Nick. Bye-byes. Oh, he's back. Never mind. He wasn't back. He wasn't gone for long. We missed you, Nick.
Gotta open up that old ice cold bubbly. You gonna put them in the mentions?
Bubbly? Is that?
This is sponsored by Bubbly and Rain.
Hey, I'm fine with that.
There's nothing I enjoy more besides an ice cold beer and like after a long day of cutting some wood, whatever. But nothing I enjoy more is being in the shop and being like, man, I'm thirsty. And then going to my shop fridge and pulling out an ice cold cherry bubbly or a blackberry. Those are really good too. But I'm not sponsored by them either. But please sponsor me, bubbly. Anyway.
You need to support his habit.
Well, hey, I could go. Never mind. Anyway, so back to my shop because I don't think I was done. I got new tools in. I got a Jessam Router Lift 2, and it's still in the box. So we're going to see how long that lasts. And then on top of that, Nick was talking about his miter slots and how he, has a nice miter gauge and whatnot. I now am official owner of a Harvey miter gauge. I don't remember what name it was.
It's the Harvey miter gauge, right?
The compass,
It's
right?
a Harvey compass miter gauge,
Yes,
complete
yes.
with all bells and whistles. It would just make you want to cut some wood.
No, is it good? Is it really? Have you seen it compared to the Incra? Is it better?
I have seen it. I opened up the box.
Oh, geez.
I looked at the. Hold on. It gets even better. It came in a brown box. I opened that box, right?
Mhm.
Nice. They come in. Bridge City and Harvey stuff come in a gorgeous box. I took the top off of it. I took the piece out. I felt it. I put it back in the box because I said, I don't want to damage anything. It was in my kitchen, right? Now the box and the Harvey box reside on the floor, and my cat sits on it.
Man, I'm telling you,
I can't make this
You
up.
got a
you have more
$300 cat
tools
bed.
that are just sitting in boxes as storage. And it drives me absolutely insane. I'm not going to
there's a show about people like
get
you.
something new.
It's called hoarders.
Yes, they're called hoarders.
Buried alive.
But see, the thing is, I bought it with intentions of using it. I have not had any chance to use it because I don't have any projects that need it. One, and two, there was a second thing. Oh, they were running that sale. So I wanted to take advantage of the sale before it went away. And it's a good bed for my cat right now.
So 2 of the 3 of us have the Harvey compass gauge,
Mhm.
miter gauge, right?
One has used it.
One has used it. I have the
And
Incra
one has
miter
felt
gauge, and I think that's pretty legit. I would love to see the Harvey miter gauge in action, one right after the other. See how I'm pretty sure. I don't want to say they're close because I can't, but I'm pretty sure for your price points or whatever, it's more high. They're both high end miter gauges, right?
Yeah. The Incra, it has, because the Harvey has the expandable fence. It's got the posi lock so that you know exactly what degree you're on. It's got a pretty big knob that you grab its knob and you're able to slide it right through.
Yeah. When you grab it too, it conforms to your hand just right. And
So it's ergonomic, right? Ergonomically sound.
It is ergonomic, yes.
Yes.
So when I grab my
It's
knob
very
on my miter
user-friendly.
gauge,
It slides
don't-
really nice too.
so I know the difference is you have a brass knob, right?
No, everything on this thing is aluminum.
So aluminum.
Mhm.
All right. So mine's like a composite plastic or whatever, but everything else on there is aluminium.
The only thing I don't know if it's aluminum is the dial where the gauge marking is.
Yeah.
Is that steel?
I don't know if that's aluminum or not. That might be steel.
I would think it might be steel because then, the aluminum over time, I mean, you'd have to be using it every single day and switching positions and it would just wear out a little bit quicker than steel, but I'd have to look at it. You want me to go grab mine? It's right over there.
Yeah, go ahead. Because when you pick this thing up, it's hefty. Like it doesn't have the feel of just an aluminum tool like, get from woodpeckers or whatnot. It has weight to it. And when you're using it, it slides fairly free and like that weight helps stabilize it as well.
Ooh.
It's still pristine in the box.
It's still pristine in the box. Got some cat claws on it though. But
Get hair.
so
She looked at me and she gave me the look like, I'm going to kill you later if you touch that.
I want to order that, or at least I would love Harvey to just give me one to test out and then just say, you know what, kid, keep it, right? And then I want with a Dill Pro one, it's the Chinesium one that's supposed to be high end, and I want to
Nice
put them.
knob, dude.
Oh, that
Thank
was
you.
a beautiful knob. I want to put them all through their paces and see which one I like the best. Unfortunately, I don't live in a world where I can do that, so I'm just going to stick with my Incra for now, but they are very pretty.
So it is all aluminum, as you see. I don't know if the Incra does have it, but they have adjusters.
They do.
So that
Yeah.
okay, I kind of thought so.
Is it? So you're saying the dial?
Yeah, this whole thing is all aluminum.
The entire
Aluminum,
dial.
and then it's got
swear
the
that has-
posi stops.
So is it
back.
laser etched on there?
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
Now
I don't remember if mine.
The one thing that I noticed on the Incra, if I'm not mistaken, I think they have a lot more stops. Like you can micro adjust it almost.
Yeah, this one is pretty good too. It doesn't have positive stops on every single one, as on the major ones.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to dial in like 1 degree, 2 degree increments on there.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? And it locks in place pretty good too. I don't know. It's one of the things I've been eyeing, and one of the things I've been wanting for the table saw, and I am absolutely glad that I got it. I mean, using it it's been great.
I mean, the movement on this literally
Yeah.
is incredible. I mean, it's so smooth. Yeah, look at how many adjusts. I mean, I
So
love this thing. It works so well sitting in the box.
So I'm not gonna lie. I'm jealous. I want to try that one so bad, but there are positive stops all over this Incra gauge. And in order, once you turn it, you just set this in one of the grooves, this little pin,
Yeah.
and you turn the knob, and it stays there. And you actually have to tighten the handle down again, and that keeps it as well.
AJ's figuring out his, and he's going to realize soon you don't need positive stops on these, because once you dial it in and you lock it in place, it stays in place. The positive stops are nice for easily finding the major degrees, but it's very easy to get it to a 3 degrees, 5 degrees, whatever, and keep it where it needs to be. And you don't have to, screw down.
The arrow and the markings are so clear, even though they're not, I mean, they're so nice and laser etched. I mean, there's nothing that you can't, and I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I mean, that's locking right in. And they got one at 22.5. They got one, of course, at 45, and then one at 60, and of course one at 0, which would be a 90. And I mean, there's no slop in this. This isn't even, tightened down, and this thing is like not even moving one bit. I want to get it to the point where I can, bring it downstairs, learn it. I'm just so swamped with everything else. It's like, this is kind of on the back burner right this second. Like I said, I really bought it because it was on sale.
So
here's a question for you guys.
I do have a question.
Sorry to interrupt you, Nick.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, go first, man.
Where is it made? I just want to know. Does it say?
China, USA.
No, it says China or it says USA. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now.
This one doesn't say.
See, I'm wondering if they. Well, I know the what is it called? Bridge City gauge that I bought off Josh for the blade angle on a table saw. That one was made in China, but you never know if they sourced from different places. I'm just wondering. Not that it makes that heck of a lot of difference, but I know the Incra stuff that I have is made in the USA. Not saying it's better, just saying for the sake of saying.
My question is, having a high quality miter saw gauge, do you need a crosscut sled? Would you still make a crosscut sled?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your reasoning?
I can use clamps on my crosscut sled. I have T-track in there. I can clamp a piece down if it's too small. Or
There's T-track on top of this.
What do you mean there's T-track on top of it? So you're going to clamp the piece to the miter gauge?
You could.
I mean,
depending on what you're using.
I don't know how you would clamp it if it's on top.
Actually,
I'm talking about
it's even. This is the front, so you got a T right there, and you got a T over here.
Okay, but I'm talking about how big. Like, what if you have a piece that's like 3 inches tall, and you're trying to make a mitered cut on it, but it just happens to be super short? How are you going to clamp it from behind? Or I don't know. I'm trying to do the math in my head or work out the problem. It's just easier for me to take my clamps. They're like the Rockler clamps, the ones that have the screw on top, and just hold the complete piece down. What do you got there?
Like this? Like something like that, you were saying?
I don't know. AJ,
have
make
a
a video,
tall piece?
post it up on the old Instagram. I want to see it.
Anyway, I'm playing devil's advocate. So, I mean, like, obviously there's a place for both in the shop. Having a crosscut sled is extremely useful and a jig that everyone should have no matter what kind of, miter saw gauge they have, what kind of other jigs they have. For safety reasons, I definitely agree with Nick. I was just curious on what you guys would say. Because I have used my miter saw gauge for smaller cuts, and I haven't built a cross sled for my current saw, and that's why I was using the miter saw gauge. As I was doing it, I'm like, man, I really need to build one. It's definitely a project I need to get complete because doing that one project and using that, it worked fine. I was just very uncomfortable with the positioning of some of the stuff. It would have been perfect for a crosscut sled. So keep that in mind. I mean, like, some of the tools you get, I mean, yeah, they're expensive and they do a lot, but make sure you're using them appropriately and maintaining that safety feature.
Hey, so one more thing as well, by the way. If I set my crosscut sled on my saw, it's made for that saw. I know you set up your miter gauge, but there's no chance that my blade is going to touch the aluminum. And I don't know if you guys know, but if you're holding on to the miter gauge and the blade touches the aluminum on a saw stop, you transfer that to the blade and it activates the saw stop mechanism. So not saying I'm obviously going to be careful when I'm doing it because I'm always trying to get the most precise cut. And I'm always going to make sure I'm not going to hit the thing. But say moment of lapse of judgment, God forbid something like that happens. The next thing you know, I'm out $100 for a blade and a cartridge. But
well, honestly, $100 versus a fingers.
Yeah. But I'm just saying it wouldn't even be like a finger issue. It'd just be like me touching the aluminum from the miter gauge.
Yeah, I know, but the initial problem is having this safety feature as the Sawstop does. People are buying Sawstops, paying good deal just to have that feature.
No, we didn't.
Wouldn't
I'm just playing. Yeah, we
wouldn't
did.
You did.
Wouldn't it still trip? Let's just say you were pushing the aluminum with a fiberglass push stick or something plastic, so you took yourself out of it. Wouldn't it still trip?
I don't think so. I think that the only reason it would transfer is because of so you know how it trips, right? It's a break in the electrical
make a
current.
complete circuit.
Yeah. So if you break that circuit,
but you have the aluminum that's attached to the cast iron that now touches the blade. Wouldn't that make the circuit? Because it's waiting to complete the circuit.
It's already complete. Cartridge. It's already a complete circuit. You're breaking the circuit. You know what I'm saying? So it's running whatever electricity or whatever it is, a pulse through the blade as it's spinning from and it's going from like the one side of the arbor to the blade to the other side of the arbor and then back. As soon as your skin touches that blade, you break that circuit because you're you're the one who's grounded at that point. I don't know. I'm going to get Sawstop on the podcast. We'll see. Sciencey stuff.
I thought you completed the circuit.
No, it's easier to create a circuit like that. And then since I believe Nick is correct. I'm speaking on my butt, but you are the one that's technically grounded. And when you touch that blade, it basically breaks the circuit enough. And that's when it activates the actual device. Now, like I said, I don't have a Sawstop, but if I remember the demo that I watched, that's what the case was. But he has to be correct about Sawstop. He has a banner, he has a hat, he has a Sawstop.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty much the whole big deal around here now. So.
Hey guys, so let's get in some of the meat potatoes in here. We're talking about May for makers, and we've done this before. We kind of introduce ourselves, and but we're on episode 46 now. Why don't we go around Robin here and just kind of introduce ourselves, what got us started real quick, and why we're here today. Nick, since you're the newest in the group, let's start with you.
Yeah, it's my first day. My name's Nick. I am a 36-year-old Pisces. I picked up woodworking a long time ago. However, it's been intermittent for me. The past 2
Like
years
to
have
feel
been
the wood in your hands.
That's right. Feel a wood in my hands. Nothing better than that thrill. Anyway, so my journey began a long time ago in my garage in South Carolina. I put it down because it was. I'll be right back. AJ, you go.
Okay. Well, I got all, hello, everybody. My name is AJ. Hello, AJ. So,
Oh, we're doing that?
I got started
Sorry.
in the woodworking field just kind of out of, like I've explained before, I bought a house in 2018 and it was my very first house. So then I figured, well, I don't want to. My garage was too small to do any kind of mechanic work in. So I said, well, let's turn it into a wood shop. What else do you do? And I knew I was going to be doing a few things around the house. So we picked up, my pops and I picked up a small table saw, miter saw, whatnot. And he helped me with doing some stuff around the house. We, redid some flooring, redid the laundry room, the basement, and a few other odds and ends. And then I still had this table saw sitting there. So once I met my now wife, we were thinking about what we could do for the house. And she said, well, maybe we can make some farmhouse shelves, because farmhouse was in back then, back in the oldie days. And
Still is.
it's it's like sort of farmhouse now. Everybody's
Damn
going
cool.
away from it. But I made 2 shelves. It was just out of some, I think 2x10 pine. I was scared out of my mind trying to cut this 2x10 pine. Nice. Look at those shelves. Gorgeous.
2x10.
Mine I'm talking about.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. But, it was a Cobalt contractor saw. The nice thing about it was that it folded up to almost nothing. And then, I was able to wheel it around and kind of keep space in my garage. But anyway, trying to cut on that thing, it was terrifying. It's almost like the DeWalt that you got, Josh, because once you hit the power button, it makes that loud thunk and it winds up. It's not a fun saw. But anyway, I still powered through it. The only time I ever cut wood on that table saw was when Kim was actually home because I was terrified that something was going to happen. So I wanted somebody at least around. And now, this year, 21? Wow, I'm going to be here for 3 years already in November. So, right? Yeah, I just did math on my fingers, everybody.
We didn't take out his feet yet. We're good.
In these past years that have gone by, I have to say everything has changed dramatically in that shop. It's actually become, I look back on pictures from, July of 19 and the way the shop was completely different. I'm blessed to have, the tools that I have. I'm blessed that I'm getting the orders that I am. And it all kind of stemmed from, I made a flag. My very first wavy flag was for the Makers Never Forget Challenge. And that's to honor first responders on National First Responders Day. And I did one for a local police department. From there, I kind of made a few more, making it out of a template and then, smoothing it out and whatnot, and posted it up. And, of course, I wasn't getting any orders. And I think I complained to Josh a lot. And I know I definitely complained to Kim a lot that I'm not getting any orders. And out of nowhere, orders just came flying through. And, it's just been taken off from there. So it all started back in 2018 when I bought a house. And I haven't looked back since. And eventually I would love to either work in carpentry or do this full time. I mean, our dreams are to do this full time, but making flags for a living, I don't think is going to pay the bills. But that's how I got started. I mean, you never know. I mean, if I was actually efficient in making the flags and not spending so much time on them, then I think I'd be better off. Like I already put it through my head. If I could get out at least 2 flags a day, let's just say, I could easily live off of this. But
well, you got to imagine, man. Okay, so you don't have a stock you pull from when you get an order. You're not able to go to the shelf and be like, oh, this flag, medium flag. It's basically already put together, sanded, just needs to be, stained, whatever. Once you get to a point where you can do that, your efficiency is going to go through the roof because there'll be a day, a month where you put together a whole bunch of flags and then you carve a whole bunch of flags and put them aside because you're not new at doing this, but I mean, like the amount of different flags you're doing, there's going to be a point where you're going to be able to do a rough shell and be able to pull from that stock. And I think once you start doing that, it's going to really help you out as far as like getting orders out faster. It's easier said than done too.
Yeah, and the only caveat to it would be because I would love to do that. I would love to have the two best sellers, which would be a medium and mainly a 3 foot. So the medium's a 2 foot, and the next one's up a 3 foot flag. So I would love to have a stock of them that are already carved, and I'm just waiting to see if it's a thin red, thin blue, traditional. Yeah. But the problem is, since it's a wavy flag, I have to see if they want a logo. If they want a logo, now I got to place that in.
That's where you're going to have to do like a general size logo and then have a space for it. And then ones that don't, whatever you get the most of. That's something like you'll figure out, I think, eventually, and you'll get to a place where you feel comfortable doing those templates or that stockpile.
I almost think if because now that you're talking about it, now I'm thinking I could do a pile of, traditional ones that would be a simplistic one, no logo, and make it known that it's no logo. But I could do any kind of flag you want. I could still add names because I can engrave them or paint them. But it would be, that's it, And then I think for the real custom ones, it would be, okay, now I have to start from scratch because it's not like, every day I'm getting one. Or I'm sorry, it's not like every day I'm getting these real custom flags. It's picked up in the last few months, but majority of them is, hey, I want a wavy flag that's red, white, and blue, or one that has maybe a name on it or something easy.
There you go. Even if you had, say, 50% of your projects already pre-made and just need to be finished in some way, that would alleviate a lot of work on your end.
Oh yeah,
but. Nick is back, and he looks ready to finish his woodworking journey as well. You good, AJ?
Yeah. So I definitely want to hear from Hot Dog Heroes. How did you get started in this woodworking community? And I need to know how you landed a Sawstop at this point in time.
At this juncture in your timeline.
Yes.
Well, folks, where I left off was I started this current journey, or at least this leg of it, in 2000, I believe 19. Excuse me, my wife ended up asking me to build her some flower boxes for like outside. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to go buy wood. I'm just going to go get pallets. And after doing that, pulling nails for 2 days straight and building pallet wood stuff, I was like, next time I'm just going to go buy wood. It's a pain in the rear. But after that, people kept asking me to build stuff for them. And then I was like, well, let me get I had a buddy who had a CNC machine, and I was like, well, let me buy one. So I bought one. I was like, man, I have to learn this. There is so much potential here. And just from then on, I was like, man, so, my wood isn't flat. That's why it's not carving even. I got a planer, And next thing you know, I'm doing everything now. So I went from having a handful of tools to a full shop now, and that's where I'm at. So my basically the CNC machine paid for almost everything in the shop over time. So it wasn't like I got it all at once. I would spend time buying like what I could afford off Facebook Market. And then next thing you know, I upgrade and trade, upgrade some more. And finally ended up getting a Sawstop. And that's how it came to be, man.
Nick reminds me of the guy that starts off on like Marketplace with a toothpick, and then he trades for a paperclip, and then he trades for a piece of paper, and then trades. That's the kind, and then ends up with a house and a full shop.
So you really can make money from nothing on that Marketplace. People give stuff away. You can go on Craigslist, find people giving away free stuff, and then turn it around and sell it. Make money, or with the money you make from that, invest it in something else, like fix it, turn it, and do the same.
That's how I met Nick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just goes to show that it's the same with, I believe, all three of us, that, marketplace is great to start with, because that's where I got my joiner. I'm still using that joiner. I got quite a few tools off of marketplace. And then, like Nick said, you upgrade over time. And then once you have that tool, you can sell it. I did my oscillating sander. I really wanted the rigid one. I had a Wen one, and I didn't like it so much. So I said I want to sell it, and then I got I upgraded to the rigid. It's always, that's what we do all day, every day, is hunt marketplace for what is that next find. I mean, I've been looking on there for saw stops. I think you sent me a couple, right, Josh?
Yeah, there's been a couple for sale. I mean, they're not bad either. It's just, unfortunately, I don't have the power required for them. But I mean, like, marketplace is a great place to start off. I know a good majority of the tools I have and have had in the past have been from marketplace. And honestly, I don't regret buying any of them off the top of my head. There's not one purchase where I was like, oh man, like I got ripped off. Even if I paid a little more than I should, it was definitely worth it. So
I want to hear how you got started, but real quick, we were talking about marketplace. You had that find of the century with the Glowforge.
Absolutely.
And you can, every once in a while, you got to be hunting around, and you will come up with that unicorn that you see, and you can't pass it up. I had that bandsaw, that Raycon bandsaw. That thing was in mint condition, and it actually saved my butt on this deck build, because I was trying to do half laps the hard way. By the miter saw, you chop at it and then you chisel it away. It was going to take me forever to do it. And then my father's like, why don't you just use the bandsaw? That thing cut so perfectly straight, and it cut my time down probably 90%, I have to say. And, that came from marketplace, secondhand.
And that's something else I want to stress. And we've probably done this quite a few times, but it doesn't matter how many tools you have, what tools you have. You can pretty much accomplish anything with the basic set of tools. Having better tools, more expensive tools, or a lot of different tools, the only thing that does is help you speed up the quantity and the quality of your pieces. You can do the same work that AJ, Nick, and I do, but it might take you longer because you don't have a CNC, but you can still accomplish it.
Oh yeah.
I think that gets lost because a lot of us feel like I don't want to say we, because I'm not saying that I am, but we're in this rat race to get the best tools or try to get a certain tool, and it seems like, we're always upgrading, but we're upgrading with the money we make from the projects, and we're looking for the best deals out there. I pride myself, and you guys know this because every time I get a deal, I'm like, hey, this is what I got. I pride myself in not paying full price. I try to get the most out of what I can, because you know what? If you're not trying to do that, then you're wasting your money.
Yep.
It's okay to go get the good tool. It's okay to buy once, cry once. In fact, at this point in time, I'm glad that I got a step up this entire time. But there are certain tools I wish I would have just bought brand new and just cried when I bought it, and then just dealt with it. But I learned. It was a learning curve. So I don't know. It's my 2 cents.
It definitely is. I mean, it's like my father always said it, biggest, bestest, fastest. And sometimes that does apply and sometimes that doesn't, because you look at something on Facebook Marketplace, you go, okay, it's going to work out. You buy it, and then you regret not just spending maybe a couple $100 more. Yes, it sounds like a lot, but in the long run, why buy it and then have to buy it again?
They say hindsight is 20/20, and we're looking at the past and saying, look, it would have been easier. But at the time, I mean, you didn't know you were going to get so many orders for flags. I mean, like when we first started, you were, looking for orders. When Nick started, he was doing friends solids. He bought a CNC, not knowing where to lead him. When I started, I only started getting woodworking tools because I was enjoying the hobby. the first time I got a job, I was so nervous not to mess it up that I put the project on hold for like a couple of days because I did not want to mess it up. So, I mean, that's just a big part of the learning curve.
Yeah. Well, I definitely, it's definitely interesting to hear how everybody started. And Josh, I definitely need to know because I've zoned out at some point. I think, but let everybody know how you got started.
Basically, probably the same way everyone else out there got started. I got sick and tired of buying furniture. So I told my wife, I'm going to build us some bookshelves that are going to last us every PCS move that we go through. And I bought a circular saw and a router and, some basic tools and made some bookshelves. Now, I'm not going to lie. It took me like 3 months to do the plans for the bookshelves because I was overthinking every aspect of it to if this wood's going to hold this many books to everything. But when I finally got to it and I put the saw blade to the wood, I was addicted. That sawdust, man, once you get it into your system, it doesn't want to leak. Yeah. So, I have a lot of pictures on my Instagram profile about my early bench that I built and then the progression in the shop. And it really took off with my first project. And after that, people just wanted me to build stuff. And I worked with pine. I didn't touch hardwood probably for the first year woodworking. And then after that, I started to get my hands on a little bit quality hardwood. And, now I do mostly hardwood projects with a little bit of pine here and there, depending on the client. But
so I gotta say, man, that's a great way for people to start learning. It
is.
Pine is
easy
fine.
Tools, cheap,
and on top of that,
we rag on pine. Sorry.
So I never actually, like, when I first started doing this, like the way the part where I'm at now, like in 2019 with the CNC, I never really bought any wood. I got lucky. I found a person on Facebook Marketplace who ended up giving me a bunch of wood. So I got to essentially start with my materials for free. But over time, though, you run through that stuff. You have you mess up so many darn times when you first start. It's insane. And then you waste so much material, but it's all necessary, especially when you have a learning curve and you're trying to overcome that. But it's just a little bit easier on your wallet when you don't pay for the materials you're jacking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
that's
go ahead. No, you go.
Now, the only thing I was going to say is that I was picking up scrap wood from anyone. Neighbor was like, "Hey, do you want the scrap wood?" Sure. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I'm going to keep it and try to use it. And it helped me in the beginning because in the beginning you don't have all the scrap pieces. You don't have this wood that you need to make the mistakes on. Yeah. So I'm getting rid of a workbench. I would show up with my screw gun and I would go to town taking it apart, throwing it in my car. In fact, my sawhorses and the piece of plywood I put on there is from someone at PCS, their workbench. And I took that piece of plywood. I couldn't use it for a project because it was just so painted. Yeah, I've used that since to do a mobile workbench outside. That's what I've used. And it's marketplace, man. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Well, one real quick question for all three of us. And what was that one safety tool, like something that made it easier for you to actually work in the shop? I know for me, 100%, it was once I got that Microjig gripper. My confidence went up in the shop. I actually started doing more projects because one thing that I did not know was how bad pine likes to twist on you when you're cutting it. And especially on the table saw, I was so afraid of kickback that I had a piece clamped completely tight where I couldn't move it. And luckily I had the riving knife in, but if I was pushing it with the push stick, it probably would have done some damage. I had the gripper on there and I just held it, shut the machine off. And, I felt confident with it, even though it clamped clamped onto that table saw?
So safety equipment, it's hard. It's going to sound simple, but finding the right pair of safety glasses. Now,
That is a hard one.
It sounds simple, but everyone's a little bit different. I don't even remember where I got the pairs I have, but I have a shaded pair and a clear pair, and I love them. But before that, I've tried a whole bunch of them, and they would either slide down or I'd look down and they start sliding off. But the safety glasses that I currently have, they stick. I actually forget I'm wearing them at times. And then to go with that, I would have to say a pair of hearing protection. I went through a couple of different pairs of that. I was aircraft maintainer, so I was using my old hearing protection with that. And now that I have the pair of Isotunes that go over the ear, I can wear that safety gear all day long and just happy. I mean, like I can listen to my tunes, it's comfortable in my eyes, and that kind of set apart from everything else in the shop when it comes to safety. My gripper, I love, and the other stuff I have for safety is great, but those are the stuff I use almost with every tool, depending on obviously I'm not gonna use it with my CNC, but I mean like when I'm woodworking.
Holding the wood down so the CNC doesn't grab it or move it. What about you?
So
what about you, Nick?
I gotta go with number one, my first ever. Well, I wouldn't say my first ever, but the game changer, the real champion in my garage for safety was the Isotunes Pro. I left them in all the time. I mean, the battery lasted for like 8 hours, and that's if you're even playing music. So I would just leave them in. And my wife got so mad at me for just coming inside the house with my ear pro in. She's talking to me. It's like that scene in Saving Private Ryan when he's like got, the dude's yelling at him and he can't hear him because he's got still shell shocked. I'm like, yeah. She got so mad at me for just like having him in all the time. I had to, I leave him at the door now when I'm going home into the house from the shop. But that being said, I never had to worry about my ear pro. Before it was like, man, where is my ear pro? Did I leave it somewhere? Whatever. Now it's a pleasure to wear. I'll listen to podcasts. I'll listen to music, field phone calls. I don't have to worry about that no more.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much the game changers, and I got those a few months back. But yeah, man.
So I don't know what kind of headsets you like wearing, but the ones I have are called the Isotune Link, and they're great for phone calls. Like crystal clear. I can have my table saw on and take a phone call, which I'm not going to do, and you can hear it. You can have the router on, table on, and you can still hear the person on the other side. The ones you have are good, but I noticed with higher decibel tools, it's harder to hear, or they have trouble hearing. With that link, it's so easy to just get lost in what you're doing, because it's just transfers so easy between everything you need to do. And when I do the CNC, it's just great to have those glasses on and my work gloves, and yeah.
Have you ever, has your wife ever walked up behind you with your headphones on?
All the time.
Yep.
And scared the living bejesus out of you?
Oh, it's when you yell. That's when you yell.
I hear Kim laughing because she did it to me just recently.
So I had to straight up tell my wife, like, look, if I'm operating a piece of machinery, do not do that. Because I could lose a digit or worse. So, so now I'm like, just call me. I've got my Isotunes and I can hear the phone ring. You can call me from inside the house if you need me.
She didn't do it on purpose. I was at the CNC and my back is towards the one doorway. So I got up to do something and I turn and there's someone standing there literally. My heart was pounding. I almost fell over because I almost tripped over the stool. It was a pretty bad one. So I said the same thing, give me a call or text me something, because at least then I could hear it come through.
Our UPS man, every time he comes up to our house, he starts laughing because he don't just drop off a package. He starts waving his hands, and he'll like try to make his presence known because of that one incident. And like during Christmas, they have helpers. I don't know if they hire like extra people to
Mhm.
help, but they had his extra helper deliver, and I could see him like briefing him before they came to my door. Like he was like waving his hands a little and like this, and his little helper just comes up waving. I'm like, "Oh, you heard?" He goes, "Yeah," and they get back in the truck, and you see them just laughing.
That's great.
I got my delivery guys not trained, but helping me out.
Well, I mean, at least they respect that, and they're not,
Oh man, they've gotten me good too. Like my wife on top of that. Yeah.
I don't know where your windows are on your garage door, if you have any, but like, on the top row of some garage doors, my garage door is so low. It like, since the ceilings are real low, the top row of the windows, if you're standing at the front of my garage, all you see is literally like this much. I turned around one day. I was at the bench, and I turn around, and all I see is these two eyes and this like shadow of a face. And the guy's like, "Oh, hey." It was a UPS guy dropping a package off late at night, and I was like, scared the hell out of me because I didn't know who the hell it was.
Yeah. Well, you get so like in tune with what you're doing in a groove that like you're paying attention to being safe, but like everything outside that shop or what you're doing just kind of like disappears. And this is where the pleasure of doing woodworking and this hobby business, whatever you want to call it, comes into place. I mean, like people get into a groove, they get into something they really enjoy doing, and that's the place we all like getting. And that's why like it's easy to spook us because we're so like into it.
Dude, there's never enough hours in the day, especially when you get into that groove.
I mean, the hours just tick by without you realize it. You go out there at 8:30, and next moment it's 8:30 at night, and you're like, "What happened?"
Yeah, and yeah, well, it was really fun, and hearing about how Hot Dog Heroes and Josh got started, and it was a pleasure doing this with you guys.
Okay, so that was a quick look at how we got started and, some of the ways that we learned how to do things in the shop and just a quick look back at basically our humble beginnings.
Our trials and tribulations.
Yeah. I mean, like we all got started in different ways, but we all got here. So, and that's what matters. I wouldn't be doing this podcast without either one of these guys. We started doing this podcast on Saturday Lives, Sunday Lives.
Yeah.
One of those. And then
Sunday, I believe. No, Saturday?
Yeah, it was one of the S's at 1300 or 1 o'clock. And then, Nick joined us. And now we have the perfect trio. And with that, we're talking about perfect trio. Let's talk about our sponsors.
The perfect trio, the tower of power, starting with Totalboat. We want to thank you guys from the bottoms of our heart for supporting us. Check out Totalboat.com, and for 15% off your order, use promo code SawdustNationPod. Also, Orca Abrasives has been supporting us now for a little while, and we would love to thank them. If you go to their website, go ahead and use promo code SawdustNation10 to receive 10% off your order. And last but not least, I want to thank Jtechphotonics for making this episode possible. You're the real champion. Give them a visit, www.jtechphotonics.com.
Well, I literally just saw Nick's eyes roll in the back of his head and get stuck there for a minute.
I was actually...
Did it freeze?
I froze.
So, well, if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review, leave us a comment. The higher the reviews, the higher the stars, the higher we get up into the podcast world, and then we get to reach more people and do bigger and better things each and every episode. And talking about bigger and better things, you definitely want to stay tuned for the 50th episode because that one's going to be huge. We've gone over a few things with it, but just know it's going to be a big podcast. We're doing a big giveaway. We're going to have a special guest on there as well.
8 June,
Definitely
baby.
don't want to miss that.
8,
What's that?
8 June. It's going to be that day.
But you sure it's not June 2nd or 6th or 12th? Or
No.
So this is
we're
easy.
all screwed up on that one.
Very easy to remember, right? So it's going to be the 8th of June at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Matches right up.
That's right. We'll be featuring Morgan Hop from Microjig. The Hopmeister is going to be spitting his flow on our podcast. I guarantee it. I've talked to the guy a couple times. Let me tell you, he is a character. So I'm excited to have him on the show, as I'm sure you guys are as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
You see his video of the guy that the client who called up.
Yeah.
And,
I talked to him about that too.
that was too good. I watched it a few times and laughed.
The truth behind that is just it's sad, but funny.
He wanted it made out of driftwood.
What kind of?
I'm waiting for that call. You know what I'm saying? We're in Jersey. The beach is right there. I'm waiting for someone to be like, I need something out of driftwood.
Well, if you need anything out of driftwood, you can message Josh over at North Country Woodworking.
I hate you.
You can also message Nick over at MPG Creations. I'm not sure what kind of wood they have down in Texas.
I got that curly driftwood.
And if you want some overpriced pine, I have a ton of it sitting in my basement, and you can reach me over at Crafted in NJ. And if you want to reach all three of us at the same exact time, you can slide into our DMs on Sawdust Nation Podcast on the big Instagram. And if you want to send your voice memo to us with your question for next week's episode, sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. If any questions, comments, concerns, additions, deletions, send them our way. And with that, I think we have to say bye-byes, everybody. It was a pleasure doing this podcast and this new episode of 46.
Take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time.
Go make some sawdust and Sawdust Nation In-N-Out burger.
In-N-Out burger. Fair enough. So while you're eating the In-N-Out burger and making some sawdust in your shop and listening to this podcast, keep in mind to be safe, stay happy, have a great week and weekend. Sawdust Nation out.
Out. That's good. Good episode. I like it. Cut print.